Okay, let me start off with the first question. Okay, so the first question is, when did you first learn about drum horses and what drew you to them?
That would have been probably about a decade ago. I was browsing the internet looking for gypsy banners for sale, and I came across a couple of pictures of Shumil Guinness and a few others that, as I browsed through their website, I found multiple pictures of a lot of the horses that were drum horses, and I decided I didn't want to do gypsy banners at the time. I decided I wanted to do drums. So I spent the next couple of years doing some research and looking around to see what might be available. There just wasn't a lot available back then. They're so much easier to find now. So it's probably been about the last 6 years or so that I've actually been breeding them. But it did take me a few years to get started and find good brood stock. So about 10 years ago.
Okay, Lauren, I am going to ask you two questions. Since you've kind of already covered it, so you've owned drum horses. How long have you owned drum horses? And go ahead and tell us a little bit about you and your farm.
Sure. I purchased my first Clydesdale, I want to say 2004, and she stayed with us for a while, and that's when I started researching gypsies and looking, and then that's when I found drums. And at that point, I realized I had already got a little bit of a start with the Clydesdale that I had, so it was just an easy maneuver to move on over into finding more drum stock or more breeding stock. So we transitioned our farm, which at that time was gaited horses or walking horses and Kentucky mountain horses. And we decided that since we had the one Clydesdale, we were going to go ahead and move over to do drums. So it was at that time that we went out in search for more Clydesdales or Shires. And we did come across a few really nice Clydesdale younger fillies that we liked. And so we purchased a trio and we added them to our farm, and we slowly transitioned out of the gaited horses and moved into the breeding stock for drums. And we had kind of a rocky start. Our first breeding, we went all the way to term with a beautiful, healthy foal, and we lost her at birth, which was kind of a big setback for us. And so it was at that time we just had a very big heartbreak. We took a couple years off to regroup and kind of restructure our farm and what we wanted to do. And then we started up again just a couple of years ago, and we started breeding the Clydesdales that we had, and we added a couple of drum mares that we actually had a significant family emergency a couple of years ago, and we liquidated most of our stock to try and lighten the burden. And this last year, that's kind of eased off, and things have settled down, and now we're starting to reconstruct, and we're going to move to a larger piece of property and build a large boarding and breeding facility. So we're in the process of that now. We've purchased the land, and we've scheduled construction for the new barn and the new home. So we're in that transition right now, but I'm finding that it's really not taking up a lot of my time because it's taking forever to get anything done because there's just no access to lumber to build anything. So we're just kind of sitting still, and it's taking several weeks between each section of process to make the move. So it's looking like spring before we'll be moving onto the new property and really revving up again.
Okay. And how long have you been a member with the IDHA?
Oh, heavens. I'm not exactly sure. It's been I want to say nearing a decade, maybe a little bit short.
Okay, wonderful. All right, Malia, you want to take the next question?
Sure. Okay, next question is what other horse experience do you have that will be helpful to the IDHA? I know you've talked a bit about your breeding experience, but showing, competing, judging, any kind of horse-related other activities, maybe with your gaited horses that you've had?
Sure. When we were still doing gaited horses, I worked for multiple registries. I worked for the Kentucky Mountain Saddle Horse Registry, the International Pleasure Walking Horse Registry, the Natural Ambling Horse Registry, and the Champaign Horse Breeders and Owners Association. And I held multiple jobs and titles with each organization. I was secretary with one for a while. I was the registrar with one for a while. With the others, I worked as an evaluator and judge. I really haven't done anything with them for a long time now because I've been transitioned over to the drafts and the drums. However, I was invited back 2 weekends ago to judge a multiple registry horse show. So I did do that. So I'm kind of staying current, just not nearly as current as I would like. So I've got a little bit of experience in a lot of the different aspects of running registries. I wouldn't say that I'm a professional by any means, but that's there's always room to grow, and I would like to try and do some different things as well, as far as maybe checking out some of the other offices within a registry foundation or organization.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right. What specifically business type experience and qualifications, do you have? Like some examples would be bookkeeping, computer skills, filing, stuff like that.
Okay, so I have pretty good computer skills. I have some good experience with a lot of the different suites used on the desktop. I'm okay at filing. I'm pretty good at a lot of the programs. I will admit I do have a shortcoming when it comes to Excel. That thing defeats me every time I open it, and I leave that to my husband. I cannot make that thing work for me no matter how hard I try. But anything outside of Excel, I'm generally pretty good at picking it up and doing well with it. I do teach CPR and advanced life support to doctors' offices and medical workers as the deputy chief of Atlantic Life Safety and Emergency Services, which is an educational entity. We do the education for American Red Cross for CPR as well as the American Heart Association. So I've got okay office skills. I won't say it's my strong suit, but I don't do too terribly bad.
Okay. Any other kind of personal experience that you think may be helpful in your role if you were to get voted onto the board? Just any other any other personal skills outside of those you've already mentioned?
I will say I'm not the best personal or public speaker, which is funny since I'm an instructor. You would think I would be a little stronger in that suit. I don't prefer it. I do okay with it. I don't typically struggle with speaking in front of people. So I'm okay with going out and working with the general public because it's what I do with my job anyway. So if I had to reach out and work with the general public, I do a lot of that anyway. It's not my preference, but I do pretty good job with it. I also have filled a leadership position for a very long time in a lot of the positions that I've held. So I don't have trouble managing groups or heading up programs or projects. I do okay with those kinds of things. So I do have a lot of personal experience with those types of skills. So I think those would count kind of as personal experience, I hope.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, Lorin, what kind of, if you're looking at your scheduling and you're looking at your timing, how much time each week or month would you be able to dedicate toward the IDHA?
So I do take care of my grandson 3 days a week. When I'm not taking care of my grandson, I do have shows during the showing season. However, I have taken this showing season off. I only have one horse on the show circuit, and she's away at the trainer, and I'm not really participating in that a lot. So my schedule is pretty clear for the foreseeable future. I should have about 4 days a week that are open that I typically don't have a whole lot going on because I'm retired. I don't I don't work a whole lot anymore outside of the home. It's pretty sporadic and very rare. So I have a lot of open time that this was something that I decided I'd like to take up to kind of dedicate my time to, that I have that probably should be filled because I don't do well sitting idle.
Okay. Um, Next question would be, what personal projects, if any, have you been thinking about that you feel would be a benefit to the IDHA? Is there anything that you would like to, contribute to, focus on, help develop within the IDHA?
That's a hard question for me. I thought that I would be able to do a lot for the IDHA back when I still had my stallion and we were showing quite heavily. I tried to spend a lot of time promoting him and getting out in the public eye, which we did very well. We had a lot of people asking questions and inquiring and finding a lot of interest with him. So that was something that I felt I did a great job with in supporting the IDHA and growth. However, I'm not super great at initiating new ideas. I'm great at taking them and running with them and developing them and growing them. I'm not great at coming up with them. So unfortunately, that would probably be my weak point, is that especially when it comes to anything artistic, as far as maybe computer graphic skills or artistic skills. I think my strong point is definitely working with the public. So I would like to continue that as I go forward when we get the farm up and going. We wouldn't, I would say that we probably wouldn't be opposed to hosting shows or other types of displays that could be beneficial.
All right, thank you very much for that. Do you have any board position in mind that you're interested in filling? And let's see, why do you feel like you would be good in that position?
Well, the two that I have a lot of interest in would be either the secretary or the registrar, both because I have worked those positions before. I feel very comfortable with them. I've spent a lot of time within those positions, and I feel like it could be my strong suit. However, I would say that I feel like I'm very flexible and capable to take up any position without having an issue with it, except I would probably prefer not to end up in the position of treasurer. I'm not great with numbers. That is definitely my weak point, and although I could probably manage with treasurer, it would definitely be at the bottom of my list for preferences.
Okay, thank you. Just answered our next question as well. Um, so with that being said, if you said that maybe the treasurer wouldn't be the position you'd prefer, but if you did get assigned to treasurer, or a particular project that may not be your preference, are you still willing to work on that and contribute in ways that maybe you may not necessarily be your first choice, but still contributing to and helping out the association?
Sure, I would have no problem running the treasury. I do the farm and the household budget. I maintain multiple accounts in and out, keeping track of expenses. It's not an issue. It's just my weak point, and it definitely would be my least strong capability as far as managing a position. But I don't think I would struggle with it or have a problem with it. It wouldn't be my favorite position.
Understood.
All right, our next question is, many of the positions would benefit from committees working on them. Is this something you're willing to be able to assist with? And if so, would you be interested in working with multiple different committees? There could be the possibility of extra committee meetings at times.
Sure, that tends to be my strong suit. I work very well doing projects, completing projects, participating in projects, heading up projects. That tends to be one of my strongest points to get anything done is committees and projects. That's definitely my favorite aspect of anything. So yes, I would definitely be able to help out with multiple things, and I think I could really provide a lot of benefit to those types of things.
Okay, sounds good. Um, so in answering some of your some of the other questions, you're kind of answering these questions that are coming up as well, but I'm just going to go ahead and present it to you anyway. The next question is, most positions also require that the person responsible coordinates and passes information to other members on a regular basis. Are you able to work one-on-one with other board members to ensure that all information is coordinated fully?
Sure, that would be no issue. That's definitely something that I do regularly in my everyday life and would not be an issue. Go ahead and continue with the IDHA.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Our next question is, why do you want to be a board member with all the added responsibility in comparison to just a normal member? Excuse me, a normal member.
Sure, I've noticed the IDHA is really starting to take off and grow quite a bit, and I think that I would like to be a part of that. And I think I have some good qualities to offer. And although I still have some things that are kind of forming up in my life and will take a little bit of my time away, like I had mentioned earlier, I have a lot of spare time on my hands several days a week that generally I'm looking for busy work. So I think this would help me a lot with focusing my attention on something that I feel passionate about and that I think I can really offer a lot to and maybe make a difference with, instead of just kind of riding along on the train and not really being an active participant. So I felt that by participating as a board member, my skills would definitely be helpful in helping the IDHA to continue the growth that we've seen here in the last couple of years.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, do you have the tools that will enable you to perform your duties? Just some examples like a computer and decent internet and the like.
Sure, yeah, I've got more tools than I can shake a stick at. We are computer heavy in this house. There is no shortage of computer or internet or anything else that I might be able to need. And generally, I'm even free to travel quite often. So I think that there wouldn't be an issue with making sure that I was fully equipped to manage anything that was asked of me.
Perfect.
That's wonderful. Our next question is, how would you handle a situation where your vote doesn't achieve the result you wanted?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes, absolutely. I said, how would you handle a situation where your vote doesn't achieve the result you wanted?
Oh yeah, so that's just the democratic way. It happens, and I'm sure that we've all been faced with things in our lives where our vote just didn't get us quite what we'd hoped for, and we just continue to try and make things work out the way we think that we'd like to have them go in the future. It's part of the democratic process, and it's just a normal thing to have to deal with as an adult. So I'm pretty mild as things go on, and I don't typically get very stressed or strained by not having something turn out the way I'd hoped it would. And it just means we work a little bit harder to try and turn things around maybe later on in a different way.
Great answer. All right, we have one more question for you. Malia, do you want to take that one?
Sure. Okay. Are you aware of any potential problems that would prevent you from completing your term or assigned duties?
At this time, I can't think of anything that would preclude me from being able to complete any of my term or my duties. Life happens, and we do have emergencies every now and then, but I don't foresee anything. We work very hard around our farm to keep those emergencies to a minimum, I'm sure, as everybody does. So although I can say with certainty that I don't foresee anything that would preclude me from being able to perform my duties or complete my term, I can't, there's just no way in life to guarantee that that would never happen.
Right. Understandable. Okay. Well,
I
thank you.
understand. All right. Well, that is all the questions that we have for you. We have given every candidate the opportunity to add anything that they would like to add. Is there anything you want to just tell members?
I think I've been very verbose in my answers, so I think I've covered just about anything I could have possibly added on to the end. So I'll pass on that. Thank you, though.
Okay, absolutely. Well, Lorin, thank you so much for joining us, and we're very excited to see how everything pans out and all the candidates that have joined us. We look forward to next year.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye.